everyone, Stuart Heath here, CEO and founder of Harvard Grace Capital, with this week's economic report. I got two reports from last week that couldn't be more opposed to one another. But for starters, we're looking at a chart of the historical GDP for the last 5 years or so. Obviously, you see the big downward dip in the middle of 2020 due to the pandemic and the economic shutdown and all that nonsense. And since then, it's been sort of this steady rise. You don't see a lot of big ups, a lot of big downs. However, last week we had two reports. First one would seem to be more in line with everything else, with the history. And this is where the White House advisor is predicting the Q1 growth of GDP to be at the annual rate of 2 to 2.5%. That doesn't mean it's going to go up 2.5% from last year. Is that it will go up at an annual rate between 2 and 2.5 from a year ago. So it's an annualized rate. The other story is from the Fed's own GDP Now model. And by their own graph, they show themselves as an outlier. So their GDP Now model is showing, that they're projecting that Q1 of 2025 growth rate will actually be a decrease at an annual rate of 2.4%, way down here in this range. So, here's our history up here somewhere above the 2%, just bouncing around. Everybody's happy. And then you've got the top 10 and the bottom 10 average forecasts that are, the average is coming in right here. I'm going to call that 1.5. It looks like it's a little bit more than that. And so the Atlanta Fed's GDP Now model is way out of line. Wow, that's from the Federal Reserve. That's really important. But know this, historically speaking, since the pandemic, the Fed's GDP Now model is only right about half the time, 0.56. And you compare that to the accuracy of the Wall Street Journal surveys that they do, and it's right about 0.6% of the time. So everybody just calm down. This really seems to fuel the markets that everything is starting to tank. When you got a lot of people saying that, look, it's still going to be positive. It might not be as positive. So there's a whole big difference between a decline in the growth rate and an actual decrease. So anyway, let's just wait for about another 3 weeks, and we'll get the actual first read on the number of what the growth rate will be. Thanks for watching. Would love to hear what you think.